Awesome. Thank you, Bubbles, for your assistance. Is this, yeah, this is still the right screen. So yeah, how are assembled blocks mined? So once we assemble these blocks by selecting the packages according to their fee rates, and we kind of do it in a greedy way, which saying, hey, what package has the highest fee rate? Let's go pull this and that and that. We keep pulling it until we're exceeding our block weight. Yeah, so now we have a block full of transactions that we need to mine. Oh. So the mining process is we get the block header, which is what I showed before. You do a hash for this proof of work, and then you broadcast the full block to the rest of the network with the hash that's below this target that everyone is looking for. So if I have this hash, it's like a lottery number, every single hash. And if I get one that's below the target, I win. And I have to tell all you guys about it so that you guys can all accept it and verify that I won. And I can get my Bitcoin through the Coinbase transaction. So what is the intuition behind proof of work? So if you imagine two people, Alice and Bob, flipping a coin until one person gets 10 heads in a row, and the winner gets 10,000 sats, let's say. Do you think it's likely the person who will win is the person who did the most coin flips? It should be, right? I mean, that's if I'm trying a lot, then kind of maybe common logic will say eventually I'll hit this. If I do this for a million years straight and I'm doing a whole bunch of coin flips. Yeah, more likely than someone who's only doing a couple times. So if I have this probabilistic unlikely event that happens, yeah, the assumption is that I did it a lot of times and I put a lot of work into doing it. So how about if right after there's a winner, they continuously start a new game? So I won one game between me and Licorice, and then we start going and flipping coins again and see who gets to 10 heads first. Now if I let a new contestant, Carol, in, and say she can beat the winner of the first coin flips, if she gets more 10 head streaks than the number of games played, does she have a chance? And it's like, well, if Carol has the same flipping capability as we do, then she probably doesn't have a chance, right? Because we've put in more work trying to get our coins to get heads first, and if she comes in later, it's just going to take her a while. And maybe she can flip coins faster than Alice and Bob combined. She can catch up and win our previous bets, but it's not very likely. She'd have a better chance at winning if she just played the next game. So that's the intuition behind proof of work. It's like the person who gets this probabilistically unlikely event, it is almost assumed to have done more work towards whatever game we're playing. What is SHA-256? I wanted to go over this a little bit. SHA-256 is part of the SHA-2 family of hash functions designed by the NSA. So instead of flipping a coin being the probabilistic event, it is the SHA here that's kind of probabilistic event in terms of I don't know what output I'll get for certain inputs. Now this is a function with no inverse, so you can't determine the input with just the output in the function definition. And then there's no discernible pattern between outputs given a pattern of inputs. So just because I put in all the even numbers and I get an output for them, I can't say, oh, the input for all these output numbers were even. I can't make any distinguishing pattern between the numbers of inputs, even though I have a set of outputs. So mining, instead of the game with the coins, SHA-256 is like rolling a die with a whole bunch of faces. Now there's 2 to the 256, which is relatively close. This is the output space of SHA-256. It's relatively close to the number of atoms in the known universe. So whenever I'm rolling this die, let's just say this is clearly a die that probably can't exist in our physical space, but it have an obscene amount of dimensions to this die. It's very unlikely that I'll hit on any one. You also get different outputs of the function depending on the values used in the block. So the input that I do for this die roll is almost like the block information. It's for the block header. And you get different rolls depending on the conditions you set, but the same conditions yield the same roll. So if I have the same block header and I put it in SHA-256, I'll always get the same output, or it's I'm rolling it in a certain way, and I always end up on a certain face because the way I'm rolling, the conditions don't change between that. So instead of the game finding a specific number, which is near impossible, because again, the output space is close to the number of atoms in the known universe, The goal is instead to find a number less than a specific one. So it's like try and roll this dice and get below 1,466, or get below 5,900,000,000 blah blah, or So it's a hard game to play, mining, and it gets harder because there's these things called difficulty adjustments, which I'll get into. And I forget the order of slides I did. So yeah, there's something called the target value, and so there's something called the target value and difficulty adjustments. The target value is the value that the hash of the block must be below. It's initialized at this value, which is this big number, and that's what you have to hit below. And the bigger this number is, the easier it is, to hit below it, or the bigger range is, really. It could be, you could technically make a scheme where you're trying to check if a number is higher than a target, but the important thing about this is the range. The bigger the range is, the easier it is. In Bitcoin, you're checking to see if this the hash is less than this target, and the smaller the target is, the smaller your range from 0, and the bigger your target is, the bigger your range is, and the easier it is to hit within that range. So the target changes approximately every 2 weeks, and changes the difficulty of mining a block based on how fast it was done. So if all of us are miners and we're all mining at incredible speeds, and we get what should be 2 weeks worth of blocks in a day because we do timestamp our blocks, then the nodes in consensus will say, whoa, they've mined this way too quickly. We need to make this range smaller, because clearly the range was too big if they keep hitting within it. And the new target is calculated as the old target times the block addition rate, where the block addition rate is the time to actually make 2 weeks worth of blocks divided by 2 weeks. So yeah, it's an old calculation I did. I copied and pasted it. I think this is correct, but I actually found this from a note I had 3 years ago. So now, what is the difficulty? So the difficulty in Bitcoin isn't just a word that's softly used. The difficulty has a definition to it in Bitcoin, and it's a metric derived from the target. So that target that we're trying to hit below, that defines our range from 0, it helps us derive this difficulty value. And it's more intuitive for some than the target, because a target, it's harder when this value goes lower. So this difficulty, they decided to make this metric because it's more intuitive for a lot of people to think of a number going higher and it being harder than going lower. And semantically, it makes sense. So the formula to calculate this metric is you do your largest target divided by the current target. So yeah, this is just a metric we use. So I can say, the difficulty goes up, and have this value go up with respect to how hard it is. Whereas again, when the target goes up, it's actually easier. So difficulty.
The most elegant piece of the whole design right here, I think.
Right. Yeah. Defining really this. Nice. Yeah. This metric of value of difficulty.
Something so simple yet
yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Your largest target divided by whatever your current target is. That's how hard it is. So if let's say I had a target of 2 and my current target was 2, then difficulty is 1. It's nothing, right? But if my difficulty went down to 1, then it would be 2 over 1. The value would be 2. It would be harder, right? Because my current target is a smaller range.
Just up to 2.
Yeah. So how many times smaller? Yeah, and it's basically asking how many times smaller the current target is compared to the largest/easiest target. So and then also have this mining process. This is included in, I think, mining.cpp, and I have that somewhere in the slides. But it's a pretty compact piece of code.
This is the original miner right here.
Oh no, this is the current. And,
Current.
Yeah, and it's exists within the current code, and maybe it'd be useful to
Compared to
look at that here. We can also compare it to the first version of Bitcoin, which might be interesting. But I think this is in the mining RPC. You can generate block, and you can pass in this block, and you can get this hash Merkle root. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, BitDevs is gonna happen after this, so
I'm trying to figure out what to order for food.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're putting a pizza order in.
Okay. But yeah, I'm happy for pizza because I'm also hungry. So, but yeah, this generate block RPC method within Bitcoin Core in mining.cpp is where you could go and submit blocks to be mined. Yeah, it's very simple, kind of what I described. You do some calculation on this block to get the hash Merkle root, which is like something you derive from the transactions within the block, and then you have these max tries type of thing. And here, let me do wrapping. There we go. So you have a max tries. Your block, your nonce is the thing that you change to try and it's like your lottery ticket. That's what you're allowed to change within the block. Really, it's like mining is like I'm picking a number of the lottery and I'm combining it in a computation with all the transactions that need to be mined. And I can change that number and get different values out to see if I won this lottery. So yeah, this code, it's saying if the nonce is below the max and we haven't hit the proof of work yet, then increase this nonce. And we decrease our max tries that we're willing to put in. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So we see the hashing in here, process new block. Oh yeah, and this check proof of work should be doing the hashing. So let's check proof of work, which is in source, pow.cpp, and it is very simple. Nbits is an encoding of the target, a number.
That's nbits.
Yeah, so nbits.
Encoded bits.
Yeah, of this target number that we're trying to hit below. So yeah, we're setting this BN target, we set it from these compact nbits. And
yeah, converting a 4-byte into like a 32-byte target.
right, yeah, we're making a target, yeah, from these nbits. And the hash, okay. Check proof of work. Okay, here's the hashing. Sorry, I just wanted to see what the hash was. This is the hash. And we could also take a look at the original code base, which I like to do sometimes, because V1 had a lot of things that I think were pretty cool. So in the version 1 of Bitcoin, and all these comments are all my comments, most likely, and if they're not, they're wrapped with like a Satoshi start and Satoshi end annotation, but these comments I made a while ago, so But the original Bitcoin had this function called the Bitcoin miner that returned a Boolean, and it had this is where you would generate the hashes and try and hit below the target. And it was very cool to have this. And it was also somewhat, it's a lot simpler. You didn't really have this idea of like packages of like parent and kid transactions. And yeah, it is just very different. So hash Merkle root. Oh yeah, and I don't know if Prov's still in, but if you are, yeah, I'll make sure to upload this one. And build Merkle tree. Yeah, pretty much all the stuff that I was talking about before. You go, you get this like nbits, you set this target value, and yeah, you go and hash until you find something that is below the hash target. So yeah, and add a lot of printfs in here, which is pretty cool. Yes, this is the first version of the code, and this is where you mined. But let's go back to the presentation. Oh, it keeps going out. So yeah, after that, that was pretty much the mining process. I thought what might be interesting is to look at mining BIPs. There's a lot of BIPs that are related to mining. BIPs are Bitcoin improvement proposals, and when someone has an idea of how they want to improve Bitcoin, they'll draft one of these documents. But there's not that many pertaining to mining. My list isn't exhaustive, but it's like a lot of the BIPs that pertain to mining, and I just wanted to go through each section of these. So probably one of the most important BIPs related to mining is like their BIPs regarding the end version. Optical proof of work, this is just something I found interesting. You have size increase proposals, which I don't go over. You have drive chains, and then you have some proposals to help mining pools.
So there isn't like a numbering coordination for mining related. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, because they're like for different purposes. Yeah, like this mining pools are very different from like consensus code of N version. This is
Right,
like
'cause there's a consensus code.
right. Yeah, there is some scheme
Then
to
over
things.
300 is kind of.
Yeah. So the N version in a block. A lot of people, don't know what the version for block is, but there is a version on each.
Kenny, could you, Jerry, sorry, could you go to the door? Okay.
Oh.
I mean, licorice.
Yeah, licorice.
Charles is out there.
Uh,
Yeah. Sorry.
That's fine. He doesn't care. Yeah. So the N version, which is part of a block, what is it used for? It was used for like upgrades that you wanted to make for a block or transactions within a block. So the first block, the first upgrade to N version, they said every block with the N version of 2 will have the block height encoded in the script sig of the Coinbase. So yeah, it's just requiring a value to be put in the Coinbase transaction, and that's why they put V2 here. And there's like a reason that you put it to try and get a form of uniqueness amongst blocks. And yeah, we could see that it's still done today with the newest versions of N version.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like a whole bunch of people outside.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
They had like a chain. The person that come in, the whole next for the next person, so forth.
They're all coming here.
yeah.
What up, Will?
How's it going? Yeah.
We're
Or-
wrapping up
or-
our live stream here.
Yeah.
but, we can kind of squeeze in. There's a couple more like skinny chairs.
Yeah, we'll hold the bit devs out there. I
But
was just
yeah,
gonna
you guys
finish
are
up.
welcome to crash in this.
Yeah.
This
Yeah. So yeah, version bits with timeout and delay. So right, this is how it is today. Basically, this is the first update to the N version, and there was another update for version 3, and then another one for version 4, and then they were like, hey, we don't really want to have like version numbers like that in for our blocks, so we want to let all of the bits like past that 4, or the bits that aren't constrained, to be used as indicators for features that we want to enable. So how's it going?
We can squeeze you in here. You can get back here. It's just a little tight to make
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. And this isn't bit devs. This is the precursor event
Yeah,
that I'm just
we're
wrapping
finishing
up.
this up.
Yeah.
Here.
Uh,
Here, take this seat. I'll go grab another one.
Alright. Yeah, or I could,
I'll go grab another one.
yeah.
Catch the finale.
No, it's
No,
fine.
no, we're still picking our.
Yeah, you could start setting up like the bit devs out there. I don't know if you want. But yeah, yeah, we're gonna transition soon. Like I said, I'm almost done. It's like 5 more minutes. So yeah, this N version thing. Yeah, and you feel free to stand in here. Just. Yeah. So after they upgraded the N version on the block for the 4th time, they said we don't want to do this anymore. Instead, we want to use all the free bits to indicate, upgrades to consensus. So what they did is they set. This is like kind of how that N version looks, and this 1 here represents 4. So this is in little endian. So when you like reverse things, you kind of get like 0 0 and then like 1 0. And basically, it comes out to like this is 4, and all of these bits are free to go and change to indicate signaling of an upgrade. So yeah, the rest of the 29 bits after that are used for setting the feature bits, which is selected from the right. The rest of the bits are manipulated by miners, if not actively being used, to signal, because they could use any bits that aren't used as an extra nonce when their nonce runs out, which is the thing that they use, as a lottery number to mine a block. Another interesting mining bit that I have is something called optical proof of work. It's someone who didn't like the flag Bitcoin was getting over its energy usage, and he was like, "Can I switch the costs of like mining from being on energy to being on hardware?" And he kind of like had this design for a new hardware device that people could mine with, and it's a higher barrier to entry, but yeah. With mining with a traditional device, isn't very effective anyway. So you kind of need these expensive ASICs. He's just saying, how about we change the cost distribution from being focused on energy to being on the hardware, which I don't really agree with necessarily, but it's interesting proposal, and it's like BIP that you could find, optical proof of work. Another thing that you can do with mining is drive chains. So the idea behind these are having a hash rate escrow that custody funds as they're moved to other chains. Basically what that means is if I have a majority of hash rate, if like me and everyone here are miners, we can hold users' funds and halt it and say that we're going to put it in a side chain. Yeah. Yeah, you're fine, man. Like I said, I'm almost done. And yeah, there's a period where all the miners must propose withdrawals from their escrow, and when all the withdrawals are approved, then you can get your money back from like side chains or this escrow of miners. The BIP is kind of unclear of how a user will deposit money, but there's a PR for this by Luke Dash Jr. that I haven't looked at too closely that might explain more. Yeah, and then the last thing I think, this is the last one, yeah, is mining pool extensions of Bitcoin Core. There's a couple BIPs, like BIP22, that propose adding extra data to the responsive RPC commands, like get block template. So being able to return things like the end bits, certain size limits, and Coinbase info. And it also proposes functionality that would allow the proposal and validation of blocks to these RPC commands, which might help mining pools if they have a Bitcoin Core node and they want all the people who are part of their pool to go interact with it. And yeah, this is the end of my presentation. So this is all there is.
On the display.
Yeah? All right. A nice bubbles.
Actually, no, it's not on.
Well. All right. Well, yeah, that's it for the stream anyway. I will end it, and I guess I recorded some of it, so it's pretty good. And yeah, we can move out to the main room. All right, just.